Welcome to the On Your Side podcast. I'm Gary Harper.
And I'm Susan Campbell.
Susan, we've been here 200 times.
That's wild.
This is crazy.
200th episode.
This
today.
is the big 200 today. I mean, we should have brought a cake, some kind of celebratory
I know. Where
food.
are the balloons? The flowers?
Well, just being with you is just celebration
Sure.
enough.
It is funny to think back when we were first pitched this idea.
Yeah.
Both of us, I think, were like, wait, we haven't even listened really to podcasts in the consumer space to know what's going on. It was like this entire podcast world has changed so much.
Yeah.
Over the past couple of years. And so we were kind of on a little bit of a learning curve too. And we've had a few variations of what works and what doesn't.
We have certainly evolved when it comes to the podcast. And I mean, we have so many downloads, so many people listen to this around the world, by the way, too. I mean, we've got people in Poland and all kinds of places.
Fun to look at those stats.
Man, when you look at those stats, you're like, wow, people over there are listening to us.
They're listening and they're hearing and getting some important information.
Yeah.
And hopefully a little bit of that consumer news you can use, make life a little bit easier.
Yeah, well, that's why we're here, right? I mean, we're exposing scams and helping people, to just kind of spread their money a little bit further.
Absolutely.
That's what we want to do.
Love it.
Hey, we're in the month of August right now, okay? So, and we've talked about it before, and I don't want to dwell on this, but the year is just going by quick. But since we are in August, this is National Sandwich Month. It's also, as we know, National Make a Will Month.
Yeah, we talked about that. That was a good one.
We had a podcast.
Wait, I want to go back
week.
To National Sandwich Month. How are you supposed to celebrate that?
Eat a sandwich, right? By the way.
Sure.
By the way, I just...
What's your favorite sandwich, Gary?
Here's my rule of thumb here. I don't go out to eat sandwiches. I just don't.
Never?
No, because if I want a sandwich, I'll just make it myself. I don't need Subway or Jimmy John's or...
They taste so much better than when somebody else makes it for you.
No, we talked about that. That is they did some kind of scientific analysis, and it says yes, when other people make your sandwich, like your spouse, it's always better. Yeah. I don't know why.
I made a tuna salad sandwich the other day, and it was so disappointing, but I'll order a tuna salad sandwich at every restaurant ever, and I think it's the greatest thing in the world.
Isn't that funny how
at
that
home,
works?
I was like, this is kind of gross.
Hey, it's also National Peach Month.
Okay.
So let's just, I like a good peach every now and then, right?
Yeah. Peach cobbler. My aunt Lucy makes the best peach cobbler in the whole world.
That sounds
Her
so
recipe's
good.
so good.
Wow. She's on the East Coast too, right?
She's in Ohio.
Oh,
yeah. Every
boy.
so often I try to convince her to come out and visit me and bring some peaches.
Yeah.
Peach cobbler.
Absolutely. That sounds so good. Another important thing about August is this is probably the best month next to September to buy a home.
Okay.
Did you know that?
I know there are a lot of families who are trying to just, get into a house, get settled, beginning of the school year, kind of that whole thing.
So apparently what happens is, the best time to sell your house is like right before, say, like in the spring when
May.
Spring, May, exactly. Kids are getting out of school. You want to move in before the summer. You want to get settled in, obviously, before the holidays. But then a lot of those houses that remain on the market, they go down in price. They're on the market too long.
I see what you're saying.
It doesn't look as,
Not quite as attractive.
Exactly. So that's when home buyers really get a good deal, August and September. Okay. So that's why we're doing this podcast, because scammers know that August and September, best time to buy a home, and they're targeting these home buyers, particularly first-time home buyers.
Of course they are.
I mean, you could buy a house 7 or 8 times, and every transaction is different. Can you imagine what it's like for a first-time home buyer? It's a huge learning curve. You don't know what you're doing. You're depending on everybody else to kind of get you through. So a lot of scams out there. So with that said, we're talking to Ian Ian Bednowitz. He's a general manager with LifeLock. How are you today, sir?
Doing well, and congratulations to you both on your 200th episode.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we're surprised about that too. It's gone by. We do one every single week, and we love every single topic, including the one today. Tell us a little bit about how the home buyer scam works with cyber criminals.
Yeah, so you hit on some of the core pieces here. This is a complex process for anybody, especially for a first-time home buyer. but they target people especially when they're close to closing as well, because that's where the money is, and scammers always go where the money is. So the most damaging version is mortgage wire fraud. So criminals will basically trick buyers into sending their closing funds to a fraudulent account. And they do that by they may impersonate a legitimate lender, a title company, or a real estate agent. And this works because home buying is complex, it's emotional, it's deadline driven, and there's a lot of money involved. And it involves multiple parties. So buyers are much more likely to follow urgent instructions and send large sums of money without double checking and without thinking. And the sums of money are enormous. The median home sale price in the US is $427,000, and closing payments can range up to 10%. According to the FBI, the Internet Crime Center, in less than 10 years, the annual losses from real estate have increased 50-fold, from 9 million to $446 million. So we're talking lots of money that's very worthwhile for these scammers to go after people for.
And how is this communication coming in? I mean, are these all over emails? Is this a text? Is it a spoofed phone call from somebody who I think is my real estate agent? How is this all working?
Yeah, so it can be any of the above. Unfortunately, it's not just one. Scammers can get targeting info in many different ways. They can directly hack a real estate professional site, but they can also spoof it. They can spoof their emails, they can spoof their phone numbers, they can mine public records because a lot of these sales are public. They can do phishing, exploit weak cybersecurity in anyone involved in the process, including the home buyer themselves, if they can hack into your email. And they can monitor your social media. If you are posting about the home that you're really excited to buy and where that is, then they know that they can target you. And basically what they do is they want to blend in with normal communications about the house. So they'll start communicating until it's time to strike. And they may even attach documents that are fake, but they're really convincing with logos, statements, official signatures. AI just makes all of this super easy. And once that money is wired, they're going to move it out of an account, and the likelihood that the victim gets it back is very, very low. So it's really important to be vigilant about these scams up front, not try to fix it after you become a victim.
Well, I think you brought up a really good point that this doesn't start with an immediate, obvious demand for money. It's maybe something or someone that you're conversing with back and forth.
A lot of grooming going on.
And so you think that it's just part of the process.
Yeah, they impersonate someone in the process. They may go straight for it. They may groom, as you said. But the key thing to watch out for, there are 4 primary signals that indicate there's a problem, and you have to pay the closest attention to anything around wiring instructions. Once you start to get to wiring instructions, that's where you're vulnerable. So if there are last-minute changes, if the address that you are wiring or the account that you're wiring the information to is an account not in the name of your escrow or title company, if there's pressure or urgency to make this decision to send this money quickly or you're going to lose the home, or if there are payment requests that are outside of normal working hours, someone emails you or someone texts you at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. If you have any one of those signals, that means you should be watching out. If you have multiple of those signals, then really beware. And even outside of those, in general, you should always be checking for the general email hygiene. So, suspicious email addresses, generic info, hello home buyer or from your lender, misspellings, grammatical errors. But really the keys are the top 4 things that I talked about to be really wary of.
Let me go one step further and kind of explain how it happens, and I think you will agree, but just give me your thoughts on this. Let's just say, Ian, that you are purchasing a house, you're a home buyer, you've gone through the whole process with a legitimate lending company, and that legitimate lending company, let's just say, is HarperLending.com.
Great.
Just made it up, okay?
Love it.
And you've been dealing with HarperLending.com the whole time, and then the cyber criminal, he's reviewing your emails, and he sees that it's HarperLending.com, and now he wants to pounce and say, look, the wiring has been moved up 3 days, and we have new wiring instructions, except the email comes from HarperLending number1.com. And that's the scammer. But you've seen the name so many times, you're not paying attention to the email that it's a little off. And then that's how it works.
Yeah, I mean that's one way. And if it happens that way, you're lucky, because if you inspect the email, you'll see it. They can spoof the email address to make it look like it comes from Harper Lending. They don't forget the one. They can make it look official. And again, AI makes that a lot easier to fake and duplicate. So if you're not confident, you should always be going directly to the source to verify any communication around. And if they're saying change the instructions, you should immediately be suspicious. Even if the email looks right, don't call the number in the email, call the numbers that you know, text the people that you know, that you've already been in touch with, meet them in person, whatever you need to do, protect that large sum of money.
Well, because once it is gone, it's gone, and then the entire transaction is derailed, right?
Yeah.
You have ruined your home buying opportunity for yourself, because
Forget that. You've just lost a ton of money.
Who has the extra amount of money just laying around to make it happen? Then the other family that was, you were buying from, now their transaction is ruined. It's just a lot of really giant implications and consequences from something like this.
When you say closing costs and people are losing these closing costs, are we talking everything involved, like down payments and stuff like that? Because that could really rack up to a significant amount of money.
Yeah, it can be tens of thousands of dollars in the closing costs. So it can be significant costs associated with the home buying process. And for any of these communications, as I said, you should always verify them. You can run, if it's email like that example that you gave, you can run it through scam detection tools like Norton 360. You can verify with your lender, your title company. But any changes you should treat very suspiciously. And if you do lose the money, you can get insurance. There is some level of insurance against this. Our Norton 360 plus LifeLock product will protect you up to $10,000 if you fall victim, but you don't want to fall victim. At the end of the day, you can also protect yourself up front from this happening. I said this at the beginning, you want to limit oversharing online. And that's one of the biggest places where you can fall victim is sharing on social media. Criminals, they monitor social media for home purchases so they know to target you. I know it's great to post on Instagram and Facebook, but don't, or at least make sure all of your privacy settings are set so that they are not public. And secure your email. You don't want to be the weak link in the chain. You want complex passwords. You want to use multi-factor authentication so that they can't get into your email and target you. And you also want to consider identity theft protection, where we can help detect any suspicious things that are going on. LifeLock will identify where your information is out in the public domain or where it may be used as an early warning signal to protect yourself from this.
I suspect people wouldn't even realize maybe that a mistake had been made until they're sitting at that closing and they're getting ready to sign, and we're finding out,
where's the money?
Money didn't go through, right? Because you think you've done everything right the whole way. You're following the instructions that you think you're supposed to follow. I don't know the names of title companies. I don't know that, you know what I mean? Like those things are unfamiliar entirely. And so you're just kind of going with the flow. And I understand how you kind of rely on what's written right in front of you.
I think the point here is, if you get an email with any kind of changes or anything like that, you don't pay attention to it, and then make the phone call, not in the email, but pick the phone up and call the person that you trust involved in that transaction, either your realtor, or if you're already dealing with somebody at the title company. Don't do anything online. It's just scary how we have gotten here.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was probably 2 or 3 years ago. And they've been doing this for a while, Ian, because I profiled a family, very wealthy, and they've got this exact same scam. They said that the transaction was being changed, and here's new wiring instructions, and they did call and before they wired anything, and it was a significant sum of money.
They were heads up about it. Yeah,
they would have been out all that money. And explain that too, Ian. Once you wire money, it's gone.
Yeah, it's not like wiring money. Once you send it, there's no retrieval. It's not like a payment on a credit card where you can reverse the payment get it back once you send it. And they will also take it out, move it out of that account. Like it's not findable anymore. So making the mistake is costly. Yes, I mentioned before there's insurance against it, but that doesn't cover everything. And the likelihood of you getting the money back is outside of that insurance is very, very low.
Do you think a lot of these cyber criminals targeting these home buyers, are they here in America or are they somewhere overseas?
No, it's a great question. And this is also something people should be aware of. The image that people may have in their minds of who these criminals are is someone in their basement, trying to hack and target people. And that may have been the image 5, 10 years ago. The reality now is there's so much money involved, is there are criminal organizations, corporations that are based largely in China, Myanmar, Thailand, but Africa as well. They're in a lot of different countries, and they are paid every day. Their job is to go to work and scam home buyers and scam everybody. And they have benefit plans and they have promotions, they have hierarchies. Now they have some people that they also do kidnap to and force them to work there, but these are organized criminal organizations that people are against. And when you think about it that way, there is no shame in needing to call for help and needing to have an expert on your side because they are very, very experienced and you are a novice in dealing with this.
This is kind of like the old boiler room is what comes to mind, right? I mean, it used to be the telemarketing scams that everybody's sitting around. In fact, they still do it now, but I guess it's like the old boiler room, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you have these kind of rooms where people are dialing and texting for dollars. And it's not just home buying, it's the pig butchering scams, the crypto scams, the toll scams, all the things that you get on your phone, the job recruiting scams, like they're doing all of them and they're doing them in mass. And it's no longer that, you get targeted as an individual. They have technology that can find many different home buyers, can find many different people, can mine information on the dark web. That's in the public domain and data brokers. That's in social media sites. And every time you give your information out, whether it's to your dentist, your doctor, to an e-commerce company, the probability if that gets hacked, that's now out there. Last year there was a huge breach of national public data, and over 75% of adult Americans now have their social security number out on the dark web. So it is getting easier and easier to get targeted and get hacked. And AI makes it easier and easier. So unfortunately, you have to be skeptical of just about everything. I don't really answer texts. I don't answer my phone. I check emails. Like all channels of communication, unfortunately, are no longer secure.
Man, I tell you what, it's a scary situation, but AI can be really, really good and it can be really, really bad, just depending on how you want to use it. Ian Bednowitz, people want to find out more about you or they want to find out more about LifeLock and some of the things that you talked about. Where can they go, sir?
Yeah, lifelock.com is the best place to find everything about our protection, about how you can get yourself safe. We have scam insurance in our products. So if you ever fall victim, you have something to fall back on. You have an expert on your side to help you, but you'll have someone who will also help monitor and protect you from this happening in the first place. So having that plus having good digital hygiene and being very skeptical and aware and not trusting, unfortunately, is the key to keep yourself safe, keep your money safe, and keep your family safe from these cyber criminals that are organized and trying to go after you.
It's great advice. I couldn't have said it better myself. Ian, thank you so much for being on the On Your Side podcast. We appreciate you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great to be here.
All right. He said something I've never heard of before, and I love it. Digital hygiene.
It's a great way to just keep it in mind that we just have to make it a part of our day.
Yes. I mean, you think of hygiene, you think of, brushing your teeth, washing you're washing your hair or whatever.
But things we do every single day.
Digital hygiene. That's so important. This is, like I said earlier, it's a scary situation, but you got to do what you can so you don't fall victim.
And a really important subject to tackle for our 200th episode. I mean, we talk so often about saving people money. This is such a giant chunk of money and such a huge purchase, maybe once or twice in a lifetime kind of thing.
Yeah.
So this is maybe one of the more critical transactions you ever make, and you want to be as safe as possible.
Yeah, great topic for the 200th episode. The On Your Side podcast is produced by Brad Denny. Our audio engineer and editor is Todd Martin. Segment producer is Colin Stanton. And I'm Gary Harper.
And I'm Susan Campbell. If you have a problem you can't resolve, maybe we can't, send us a message through azfamily.com or our AZ Family mobile app. Look for the On Your Side section and leave us a message. Thanks so much for listening to the On Your Side podcast. And if you like it, leave us a review. We'll see you next week.
On Your Side is on Good Morning Arizona every weekday morning at 6:45 and 7 o'clock, and every weekday evening on Good Evening Arizona at 4 and 5 o'clock. You can also catch it on Arizona's Family News at 9 on 3TV every weeknight.